She was born in December of 2023. This is going to sound so funny, but it was from a billboard that I saw here in San Antonio. Now, it wasn't through Bright Futures, it was through a different agency. Um, but that kind of just got the wheels in my head turning, and I was like, oh, I didn't even realize that. You hear about surrogates, but I'm like, I didn't realize that it was that simple. And so that's where I got the idea from, a billboard. The honest truth, and I can tell you, we were coming back from the river with my family, and I saw it, and I told my husband, and I was like there on my phone and looking up agencies, and I was like, I'm gonna like put my information and see, what who reaches out to me. And he was like, yes, okay, dear. Like I don't think he was really like paying attention. And then I started filling out more information and actually like meeting with people, and he was like, you're serious? And I was like, yeah, I'm serious. Like, yeah, so I'm pretty sure he was just like, oh, okay, whatever, you're tired. It's been a long day at the river. The first thing that comes to mind on my favorite memory was the anatomy scan. Because Amy flew here to San Antonio, and I think that was the first time that it was maybe real for the both of us. Because for the first trimester and a half, it was kind of just me, kind of growing a baby on the side. And especially during that stage, you don't really show yet. And, I think that they were still waiting for viability like week 24. But when we were both together in the scanning room, and, we're seeing this her little baby, like moving around in the screen, I thought that was really special because it was the first time kind of two strangers really got to see the one thing that they were making together. The most unexpected part that I kind of expected, but people always ask me, is how easy the transition is after you give birth. Like everybody asks, you don't think you're going to have a connection? And I'm like, not to sound cold-hearted, but no, because I'm very well aware that this isn't my baby. And so even the after part where, they take the baby right away to get her cleaned up, and then, I didn't see them for a while, it still was really smooth. There was no moment of like, something's wrong or something's missing. It was just really seamless. And so that was really, again, I expected it, but I was unexpected at how easily it actually came true. That went really well. I think my husband and I knew right away that we're the people that we wanted to carry for, just because when we were reading through their profile, and then upon meeting them, it was like an easy way for us to talk to them. I don't know if it was Jennifer there or I had another case manager, but it's like they weren't even there. She didn't even need to like lead us with questions. We were already talking, and we just had so many things in common, that it felt like we were just very similar parents. And so we just thought it was a really good match. We were like, hey, these are people we like, that we'd actually like to hang out with. The pregnancy went well. Now that I look back on it, I'm sure in the moment I was like, oh my gosh, this, stinks at sometimes, like that first trimester, and then when you're getting towards the end. But those hormones did its job, and now I've forgotten, and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to do it again. And the parents, they were very involved, not as far as like texting me every day, but like we tried to stay on the same page as far as doctor's appointments, but they've got two little ones that they keep very busy. And so there was some times that, they would message me, and I think they understood too that I wouldn't message them till after work, because my work days are so crazy and hectic too. But we usually found a time for us to meet back up and be like, oh, this is how our week's been, and this is how, your little peanuts doing. And but it was a good way. It wasn't too much. We didn't feel the need to like speak every single day. So I think that worked for both of us. I was very excited to share that I was a surrogate, because like myself, before the process, you always hear about surrogates, but everyone's never actually met one. And so people would say that like, oh, I've always heard about this, and I've always had questions, and people are always very like would approach me and be like, do you mind if I ask you questions? And I'm like, no, of course, ask, because I don't want there to be any misconceptions, and I'd love for you to hear it firsthand from me. And I had told Amy this, like, if it was somebody that I was sitting near, say like at a work training, then I would make sure to say, like, they'd ask about like, oh, how far along are you? Do you have names? And then that's when I'd be like, actually, I'm a surrogate and I'm caring for somebody. But then there'd be people that you pass in the street, and they just, make a little comment. And I'm like, do I say something? And I'm like, no. I'm like, I'm not going to see them past this 5-second interaction. So I'd kind of just be like, okay, I'll just leave it. I was so excited that we did this journey while my daughter was still young. So she just turned 3 in December. And from the very beginning, I told her that I was growing a baby because, at 2, that's when they first start to get into like baby dolls and caring for a baby. And so from the very beginning, we told her that this is Amy's baby. And so I think she truly thinks that that's the baby's name, Amy's baby, because she's always, even now, and she's, a little bit more aware, but even now she'll randomly be like, Mama, do you have Amy's baby? And I said, no, she's no longer in my belly. She grew up. We gave her to Amy. I was like, remember you were there? And she's like, oh, okay. And so I feel like it went really well. We read her, the little kangaroo pouch book as well. And it really didn't bother her at all. She just knew from the very beginning, and especially getting to meet them towards the end and meeting the other siblings and then seeing the baby in the hospital. I think that really like sealed the deal for her in her head. And she's like, oh, okay, yes, that is your baby. The delivery went so well. The whole reason why I was okay with being a surrogate is because my first pregnancy and delivery was like a dream. Like the delivery was so wonderful. It was magical. I still think about it. So with this surro baby, it was pretty similar. We weren't expecting, she flipped breech. She was breech towards the end of the pregnancy, and then she flipped down like 2 days before delivery, and we were like, woohoo, yay. I'm like, all that spinning babies worked, and I'm all like, yes, I did it. And then the induction process, she flipped down. They couldn't find her. And so it was kind of a surprise C-section, but I think by that time I had already got it in my head when she wasn't flipping before that probably be ready for a C-section. And so in my mind, I was okay with it. And after that, I mean, it went so quick, and I'm like, that's the best delivery you could ask for, is something that's quick and that's not traumatic. She was healthy during the induction process. She was healthy coming out. So that's the best thing that you can ask for. And yeah, it went really well. You have those scary days, like 2-3 days postpartum, we were like, oh my gosh, this is what every woman is talking about with the C-section. Like, you literally can't breathe like the wrong way. But then after that, after like day 4 or 5, it's all uphill from there or downhill from there. And it went really well. And now I'm like, oh, that wasn't so bad. Oh, that's what makes you want to do it again. It was beautiful because I'm going to tear up. It was just wonderful because they had some, of course, as IPs do, they're like, what if she's, and I love how vulnerable they were with me. They're like, what if she's, connected with you because she's heard you? And I'm like, guys, it's not, honestly, I'm like, I've been so busy. And I'm like, she's really just been growing in there. I've been feeding her the right foods, staying active. I was like, but honestly, I don't think that's going to be the issue. And so when they, put her over the sheet, and she looked just like both of them. And I was like, it's your baby. Like, look, she looks just like you, And I was like, I don't think there's any. And I think in that moment, and you see her like crying and breaking down, I'm so glad my husband was there and she was okay with him taking video, because he got a quick shot of me, of the baby, and then it was on Amy. And so it was really beautiful to see, to see that mother, because as a mother what it's like. And so to be able to witness it and know that you helped, that you were such a big part of that, oh, it was beautiful. It was wonderful. And that she came out, that she came out healthy, because pregnancy, delivery can just be so risky, and you feel part Like, am I doing everything okay? Did my body do everything that it needed to? You know, are the doctors here like gonna do everything okay? So when you see that crying baby come out and everything looks good, 10 fingers, 10 toes, you're like, oh, okay, I did it. Like, finish line. It's the finish line of a marathon. Not necessarily my hospital bag, but I wish that I had like my husband there, because he was there. But right after, he kind of went back and forth with my daughter. And so I did feel a little sense of like loneliness. And I had already told my family before, and this was on me. I had told them like, no need to come to the hospital. Like, it's fine, like really. And then, you know, he had to go home back and forth. And I was like, oh, this kind of stinks. Like, you know, it's just boredom and you can't move. But I'm pretty well prepared. I'm very type A. So I had like everything I pretty much needed. We talk as a family, and we have a group chat going. And so at first it was every day, and now it's maybe like every few days. But we still communicate, we check in and see what we're up to, what the kids are up to. And we have plans to meet with them in May. So we're really excited. It was great. I've had people ask me about surrogacy, and I'm like, you need to go with an agency. Let me give you the info on the one I use, because like dealing with doctors in the hospital is already so stressful. And so having that middle person who's able to call and who just has that background knowledge on what to do, especially in this weird circumstance, you know, it was really, really helpful. It was just, I was texting them all the time. I still text Jennifer, you know, just questions here and there. And it really just takes the stress off of you already being pregnant and stressed out to begin with, that you don't have to worry about any hospital or doctor or anything. I would definitely say to do your research first, to find an agency that works best for you and your family, because before you even go to transfer or the whole pregnancy stage, you want to make sure that you find a couple that really suits your personality and that you just have a good match with, because I feel like that's the key to a successful surrogacy pregnancy. And that just makes the whole process very smooth, and just makes it all worthwhile in the end, because like I said, it really is just one long marathon. And so preparing for the race beforehand with the right agency really just makes the process go well. That look when you show the baby that you've been working hard to grow to the parents, and when you see them all together and knowing that you helped them get to that point in their life, and that's, as a parent, that's your most precious day, like your favorite day that you look back on for the rest of your life. And so being such a big key part in that is what makes you want to help somebody else. It's a process, it really is, and it goes by a lot faster than you think it will. I always joke when people ask, I'm like, I literally had this idea. I saw it on a billboard. I had the idea, and then before you knew it, the ball was rolling. I was doing the intake. I was doing the match, flying, you know, to Denver to clear medical, you know, clearing the contracts. And before you knew it, you're on meds, and then you're pregnant. And it went so quick. And it was just a really beautiful process. And I honestly, I can't wait to do it again